Hi, I'm Kevin Eikenberry, and I'm here to help you reach your potential as a leader and a human being. Welcome to Remarkable TV. Today we're talking about your boiling point. Are you ready? Let's get started. This is the 212th episode of Remarkable TV. 212. Well, when I think of 212, I think of the temperature at which water boils, which led me to this week's episode theme. Our boiling point, and really what we can do before we get to our boiling point. Think about this. Have you ever, I know you've done this, you've put water on the stove to boil, you've got it in your pot, and the water's boiling, and then you have to step away for a minute, and maybe you left it on high when you should have turned it down a little bit, but the water starts to boil, and it boils over the top, and it spills down the side, it makes a mess on your pot, it makes a mess on your stove, and guess what? Some of the water, all the water that boiled out, you're never going to get back in the pot. See, I think that's a pretty good metaphor for all of us. When we reach our boiling point, when we sort of explode and we make a mess of things around us and maybe we say some things we can't ever put back. I think it's an apt metaphor. It's worth us thinking about. So what I really want to do is how do we get to the point so we don't make a mess? How do we not get to the point where we boil over? And that's what we want to talk about a little bit today, because I'm betting if you're like me, you have boiled over and then regretted it afterwards. I can think of lots of examples of times when I've done that. So what are some things that we could do to make sure that doesn't happen to us as often or ever, and so we can avoid that regret and maybe improve our relationships and improve our communication? I got 4 ideas for you today. Number 1 is watch last week's video. You can see a link to it up here, and you can click to it. In that video, we talked about assuming benign intent, and the whole idea there is to rethink our perspective that would lead us maybe to not quite get to the boiling point. It gives us to be a little more intentional about what we might say in response to someone else's actions. 2, take a breath. Okay. You expected I would say this one. And I know some people say, I know, Kevin, you're supposed to take a breath. I tried that. I tried the whole counting to 10 thing. It didn't really work. Well, if you're saying it to me like that, you're already, take the breath again, count to 10 again. But here's what I'm saying. This will work, and it can help you if you really do it. But it's not enough by itself. And I think a lot of times the advice is given alone, and then it can be hard. Right? It does give us a chance to step back and think, but just taking the breath isn't enough. Okay, I've taken the breath, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, boom! Right? That's not helping me. What you got to do is, when you take the breath, do the 3rd thing on this list, which is determine your goal or remember your goal. What am I really trying to accomplish in this conversation? I can tell you that for me, in many of the cases, when I regret how I responded to a situation, I was responding in a way that wasn't really about making things better. It was about making me feel better. And so if we will step back and say, what's my goal here? Is my goal here to be right? Or is my goal here to make a point? Or is my goal here to make a difference moving forward? What's my goal here related to the relationship or whatever that might be? I'd encourage you to think about that just a little bit. Determine your goal, remember your goal. And then number 4, turn down the heat. Well, if you do the other 3, the heat will probably go down a little bit, right? Just turn down the heat. Is this really something worthy of or worth you responding in a boiled over way? I'm betting not. Now, are doing these 4 things going to automatically mean that you're never going to explode again, be really upset, raise your voice? Probably not. They certainly won't keep me from doing it. But what I will say is that if or when I do these 4 things, the chances of that happening go way, way down. So hopefully these ideas are helpful to you and give you more than just, okay, take a breath and count to 10. Hopefully this helps you a whole lot more in helping you deal with your boiling point, things that we do before we actually boil over. Let me close with today's tweet. You can't influence when you are boiling hot. Keep the heat turned down just a bit if you want better communication results. I said there's been 212 episodes. Guess what? We've done that every single week for 212 weeks. And we're not going anywhere. We're going to keep doing it. So you can subscribe here so that you get a reminder every week of the next episode. The next episode of Remarkable TV. I'll be here Will you be?